So let's talk about how to unlock your courage as an entrepreneur so that you get to grow your success and grow your business. Now, as an entrepreneur, you probably already realize the importance of courage in growing your business, right? There's always courage required when it comes to making a decision, when it comes to launching anything, when it comes to making any changes in your life or in your business. And so, how do we actually unlock that courage or unlock more courage so that we start to do the things that's gonna move the needle in our business, but it scares us to do it? Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video was because yesterday I was invited to go on a podcast, and the host was asking me a couple of things about how I started my business and my story on becoming an entrepreneur. And after sharing my entire story and how I started to grow my business, she then followed up with this question. She asked me, what was the driving force behind my decisions? Was it courage, or was it part of it, was it naivety? And so, as I was thinking about that, it was a really good question. And I wanted to create this video so that I can share with you what I shared with her. And I wanted to elaborate a little bit more. So, I'm going to share with you what I shared with her. And I'm also going to share with you three things that I always think about whenever I'm trying to make a decision and I'm trying to tap into my courage so that I unlock my courage and I'm able to make a decision that sometimes scares me. All right. So, this is what I told her. I said that I believe that in every decision that I make in my business, it was hugely due to my courage. And I honestly don't know where that courage comes from. I've always been someone, whenever I make a decision to do something, I act on it. Because for me, when I look at things, I don't see it as though it's just a win or a fail, right? Regardless of whether we're talking about things in business or in life, it's not always black or white. And for me, I look at everything that I've done in my business, whether or not it's failed. If it's a failure, I learn something from it, right? And so, therefore, it is not a failure. It can only be a success. And so, as a person who has always had that attitude towards everything in life, where it's okay, if things don't work out, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work out, nothing changes for the worse, right? And so, I've always been the kind of person when I have an idea in my head, I sit on it for just a short while, and then I typically trust my gut instinct, and then I action on it, or I don't if my gut instinct tells me that, hey, that's kind of like a stupid idea, don't do it. So that's one. But I also told her that I believe a part of it is also due to some kind of naivety. You gotta be somewhat naive as you're making big decisions. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, we tend to make the pros and the cons like a list, right? Tell me if you realize that. We tend to make pros and cons, whether it's literally writing it down on a piece of paper or having it in our heads, right? As we evaluate every single decision that we have in our business, as we evaluate whether this idea for a launch is a great idea or a stupid idea, we start to create these pros and cons, the good and the bad, and we start to evaluate which one stands out more. And I told her that being naive is one part of becoming courageous, because we got to learn how to sometimes step away from making the pros and the cons, step away from making the good and the bad list, and start evaluating everything down to the T, because sometimes that stops us from achieving something great in our business. It stops us from doing something that can actually move the needle in our business. And so I told you I wanted to share three things that I ask myself, three things that really make a huge difference whenever I'm trying to create something that will move the needle in my business, right? And so these are the three questions that I ask myself to unlock the courage in me and to become more courageous to do something that I may not have done before in the past. And so the first question I ask myself is, has anyone else ever done what I'm thinking of doing, or has anyone ever achieved the success or the wins that I'm trying to achieve? Right? And the reason why I ask myself that question is because sometimes we feel like we are the only one out there with that idea or with that goal or with that vision, and we're trying to achieve that, and it feels so big. But when we start to think about it and we start to ask ourselves, is there anyone else out there? Are there people out there already achieving what I want to achieve? Are there already people out there selling something similar to what I'm selling, and they're doing it well? Are there any other businesses out there that's kind of where I want to be at, right? So I ask myself that question. And knowing that there's someone out there that has already done it, knowing there's some company out there that has already achieved what I want to achieve, gives me some kind of courage. It gives me more courage to act on my idea and make the decisions and do the things that I probably wouldn't do because I know that someone else has already done it. Right? If someone else has already done it, then why not me? Why not my business? Why not my company? And so when I'm thinking about a brand new idea for a product or an offer or even a business, I always ask myself, is there someone else who's already out there doing it and had they've achieved that success, right? And therefore I can look to them as a source of inspiration. So in my instance of building Mindfield community, what I'm trying to emulate is the success of Mind Valley. Because I ask myself, what is the vision and the goal that I'm trying to achieve with Mindfield community? And where I envision us being in the next 10 years is becoming bigger, or just like Mind Valley, but for online entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, right? And that's kind of the community I see, what the offerings that we do, the size that we become. And so when I see that Mind Valley has already achieved that, I know that this dream that I have, no matter how big it sounds right now, is absolutely 100% achievable. And that gives me the courage to first stop doing my marketing services, which was like my entire income, and start focusing on this brand new passion of mine. I saw that someone else is already doing it. They have achieved what I want to achieve. And so therefore I can too. Now, the second question that I ask myself as well is, what were the steps that they took, that this person took or this company took to get to where they are today? For me, that's a huge thing to think about because it's one thing to know that someone else has done it. It's another thing to know how they got to where they are. And so I'll give you an idea over here. As I was thinking about starting a membership for Mindfield community, I never sold memberships before in my life. This is going to be my first time selling a membership, and I am super pumped but also super scared, right? And so how do I unlock that courage? Knowing that there are companies out there that have already been very successful in memberships, I wanted to ask myself, how did they get to where they are? And so one of the companies that I was looking at was Ryan Dice's Digital Marketer. Now, if you've been following me back in my marketing days, you probably would have heard me mention Digital Marketer many, many times because they are a great company to emulate. And so you always want to follow in the steps of the giants. And so what I did was I literally spent time breaking down what Ryan Dice did back when they were starting out. I listened to all his podcast interviews when he went on to someone else's podcast and he was talking about his journey, he was talking about his strategies, and I wrote all of them down. I did the same thing with Mind Valley when Vision, the founder, went on to, when he was getting interviewed, when he was creating his YouTube videos, I went through every single thing that he was talking about, the activities they were running. I even did these archive internet where you could actually look back at someone else's website years ago, and I was looking through all of their websites reiteration, and I was just trying to pick up as much as possible. What were they selling back then? How were they promoting it? Were they shouting out about one feature or one benefit about their membership? How were they doing it? And what were some of the feedback that people have about their membership? And so by breaking down their steps from third-party sources, just listening to their podcast interviews, reading articles, just breaking down their steps has really helped me to kind of figure out my own roadmap on how I want to get to where I want to get to, right? That is part of unlocking that courage in you. So as you think about your big dream, your big goal, about your new idea for a product or an offer, and you start to think about who else has already done it, which company has already done that, achieved that success, I want you to also think about how did they get to that success, right? So they've got this product. How did they sell it? How did they promote it? How did they get people to buy it? Did they build an audience first? Like what mistakes did they make and what worked for them? And then try to emulate their success. And the very last question that I ask myself after figuring out who are the people that I'm trying to emulate, who are the people who have been there, done that before, what steps they took, I ask myself this question: what is stopping me from doing exactly that? And oftentimes, the things that are stopping us from becoming more courageous in our business, from doing the things that is outside of the box, from doing things that scares us, is the fear. And it's often the fear that stops us, especially like even in my own case, the fear stops us from doing and executing and tapping into our courage to really become a successful entrepreneur. And it can be a fear of a lot of things. It could be a fear of failure, right? So you are afraid that every time you launch something, it's going to fail. Whether that's true or not in the past, it doesn't matter. What happened in the past, and this is something that I learned, it's what happened in the past belongs to the past. It does not indicate what will happen for you in the present or in the future. And so, even if you've been trying to launch your business or different products multiple times and they haven't always been a success, it doesn't mean that the next time you try something, it will not be a success. So, it's something to think about as well. The fear of failure. Is your fear of failure stopping you from tapping into your courage, from executing on your dreams and desires? And then another thing is fear of judgment. If I were to launch this new thing, if I were to create this new product, if I were to just uphaul my business and do something different, will people look at me differently? Will people think I'm crazy? Will people judge me? Like, what will people think? What will my parents think? What will my spouse or partner think about it? What will my kids think about it? So the fear of judgment, or even just your own self-judgment, right? So it's just you judging yourself. Oh my God, am I crazy? Am I nuts to do that? And so that stops you from executing on your idea, right? Not tapping into your courage. When you know that it's a great idea, your gut instinct tells you that this is going to be amazing, but you don't want to execute on it because you cannot tap into your courage because you're stopped by that fear of judgment. So is that fear of judgment stopping you? So those are the three questions that I want you to ask yourself as you start to make decisions in your business that requires you to tap into your courage so that you get to do something different and it shifts the needle of your business. Those are the three questions that have worked really well for me, and I know it's going to work really well for you as well. I want you to let me know in the comments below. Is there something that's stopping you right now from unlocking your courage and tapping into your courage that's stopping you from executing on a brand new idea, a brand new offer, a brand new product, a brand new change in your business, whatever that is? Is there something that's stopping you? And if so, comment below and let me know. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you've not already subscribed to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification button as well. In the meantime, don't forget to go check out this video to learn more about a holistic approach to entrepreneurship. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.